If you've been following this channel long enough, you know that I'm very excited when it comes to audiobook production, especially through the ACX platform. However, there are a few options when it comes to hiring an ACX audiobook narrator on the platform, and also there's an area that some people like and dislike, and that is the royalty share feature. Is it really worth it? You're going to find out in today's video, so make sure you stay tuned. This is Self-Publishing with Dale, and if you'd like to learn more about how to publish books that sell and build an unstoppable author brand, make sure that you subscribe and turn the bell notifications on so you don't miss a single video. Have you published an audiobook through ACX? If so, did you use the royalty share feature or did you pay for the finished price per hour? Definitely would love to hear from you, and also your candid insights on which one you prefer the most. Stick around to the end because I'm going to offer my candid insights when it comes to the royalty share feature. Is it all that in a bag of chips, or should you stay clear of it? You're going to hear some of my experience. It's going to make you really think about your next step when it comes to ACX. First, as a quick review, ACX, also known as Audiobook Creation Exchange, is the platform that feeds out over to Audible, Amazon, and iTunes with global distribution that reaches out to US, UK, Ireland, Canada, Australia, and Japan, and it looks like they're going to continue to expand. For full details about ACX, actually you can scroll down in the description down below. You'll actually see a link to that video to find out more about ACX. So what about hiring an ACX audiobook narrator? How does the process work anyway, and what can you expect when going after some of these options? There are 3 options when it comes to producing an audiobook through ACX, and these include DIY. You're the ACX audiobook narrator. Very simply put, if you've got the skills to produce the audiobook, then this is the path for you. In fact, I'd highly recommend, if you've written your own book, that you narrate it if you've got the skills to do so. I have to be straight up and very honest that I don't have the skills, so most instances I lean in favor of the latter 2 options. A few things to take note of is you assume all the risk, but you get all the profits. And there's 0 upload cost. And this is going to kind of apply across the board, so I don't think I'll need to repeat myself. When it comes to uploading it, ACX doesn't charge you whatsoever. It works similar to Kindle Direct Publishing and the KDP platform. Option 2 is pay for production. Also known as finished price per hour or even paid per gig, this option is where you take the narrator and you hire them to do the work for you. Similar to the DIY style, you can either have the exclusive or non-exclusive distribution. So you either have the 40% model or the 25% model for the latter. And this is kind of nice that you can have control over what you're going to do with your property. So if you want to just strictly stick to ACX and just stay there, or if you want to go wide off the platform, then you can also go for that latter option, non-exclusive, being the 25% model. This is all based on cost per finished hour. So for instance, if your book is, say, 9,500 words and it's read in about 1 hour time, you can hear it being read in 1 hour time, then that is a finished hour. So whatever the finished product is, that's the link, the finished hour. So you're going to pay per finished hour. So sometimes people cringe when they go, oh, that's a bit pricey, because they're thinking that this is an hourly job that they're paying people for. So when they hear someone saying, for instance, at a lower rate of, say, $25 to $50 per finished hour, they're thinking, oh, that's a little high. But there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes where they're having to read through your script. They're going to have to do maybe some research on, maybe if you're a fiction writer, doing dialects, practicing those things, highlighting certain chapters. And sometimes they're actually your second line of defense, because they'll go through and do a quick edit so that way they're able to read this and make it seem very clear through the audiobook iteration of your publication. And much like the other model, you're going to assume all the risk yet get all the profits. I do lean in favor of hiring out per finished hour. There is a little bit of risk. Yeah, you're going to have to put a little bit of money up front, but much like any of the other risks that you take with the publishing business, be it ebooks or print books, I believe that if you go with a good marketing plan and you really get that book out there, then there's going to be a good chance that your audiobook could be a smashing success. And the third option of the royalty share. This is the one that we're going to be talking about. We're going to lean a little bit on here when it comes to this video here. This is where you partner with a narrator over on the ACX platform. And the intent is to do a 50-50 royalty share. Stay with me for just a second here. What you're going to do is offer to split all of the net profits of your audiobook for the next 7 years with this specific narrator. This is strictly with a 40% royalty. Okay, so that means that you're going to end up getting 20%, they're going to get 20%. You can only stay exclusive to my knowledge, and the 25% model of non-exclusive is not available for those royalty splits. But here's the biggie. If you're new to the business and you're finding that you're strapped for cash, but you've got a great publication and you want to get it out into the market, this is probably one of the best options because the narrator assumes all the risk. That means that you don't have to pony up the expenses. It's just kind of like a little bit of a note saying, okay, we'll go ahead and split 50-50 earnings. Granted, you should still really promote and market this product. You shouldn't be lazy about it. You shouldn't just get a narrator in hopes that it's just going to get big. You still want to promote this audiobook. And sometimes, if you get the right narrator, some narrators with a 50-50 split are compelled to help you market and promote that book. I've actually had the pleasure of working with a couple of narrators that did just that. But again, must be reminded, royalty share is a 50-50 split with an agreement that lasts 7 years. And that's what leads us to the pros and cons of the ACX royalty share model. The pros of ACX royalty share include no money up front. This is real enticing to some of you folks out there that are working on a fixed budget, and it really can be quite nice, especially if you have a book that takes off. I actually had a coaching client of mine once that was just kind of holding off on doing anything, and he decided, okay, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to try 50-50 split on one of my books, and it was a nonfiction book. And within 2 weeks, right, it was at the midpoint of the month to the latter point of the month, within 2 weeks, he had sold over $6,000 in net profits. So that means that he brought in $3,000 for himself. He showed me the screenshot and said he would kiss me on the lips. I kind of had to just politely decline and congratulated him on his success. $3,000 is not too bad on one title. That's pretty stellar. But that also is a best case scenario. Keep in mind that even if you don't see that much, if you just see just a little bit every month, that those earnings are proof of concept that you are headed in the right direction. Might I suggest that you take some of those earnings and put them back, okay? Put them back for a future project so that way you are able to pay for the finished price per hour. Something I always recommend, and you're going to find out why I'm telling you this in just a moment as we go through the cons. But before we do that, you need to understand also, this is not a lifetime agreement, okay? It doesn't last forever. This 50-50 split is, again, for just 7 years. I know I'm just kind of sweeping that under the rug. Yeah, 7 years, but it's not for forever. And again, the pros of having the ACX royalty share is you actually could possibly align yourself with a narrator that has vested interest in the success of your audiobook. So you're not just working alone anymore. You have a narrator that could possibly just strap a jetpack to this audiobook and just launch it into space. The cons of ACX royalty share. Okay, yeah, I swept it under the rug before. Said it wasn't a lifetime agreement, but it is 7 years, and 7 years is a long time. I actually did go bullish on 50-50 royalty splits, about 4 years ago. And I'm starting to regret it because there are some titles that I would see twice as much money. Now, this is no knock on any of the narrators. They're all fantastic and they deserve every last dollar that they earned when it came back to them. But I'm kicking myself because easily on some of these productions, I could have, in the first month of earnings, paid them. And so this kind of makes me reflect on the 7-year deal and the 50-50 split and go, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. It kind of reminds me of the whole study where, a kid's given a marshmallow and they are told, if you just wait the next hour, we'll give you 2 marshmallows. Well, most of the kids are going to eat the marshmallow right outright, but every now and then there's that random kid that actually will wait that hour and get the 2 because they love that delayed gratification when it comes to getting 2 instead of just 1. Here's the other kicker when it comes to royalty share. It's the bounty program. And I'm going to talk about that in a future video. When it comes to the bounty program, you actually get $75 for referring to people through the Audible membership by way of your publication. So if they go ahead to your publication's landing page, they get the free book version of that, they get the 30-day trial, and they stay on beyond that, you get $75, except for the 50-50 royalty split. Now, it used to be just $50 and you would get 25 and 25. Well, the nice thing is since they increased that bounty level to $75, you get 50 and the narrator gets 25. So it's kind of nice. It's better than what it was before. And hey, I'll take that money either way because that means that, first of all, my book is getting out into more hands and I'm getting probably a larger paycheck than what I would for a single audiobook sale. And of course, the last con when it comes to the ACX royalty share, it's the 20% of the net profits. This is a real stinker. You can either have 40% or you can have 20%. Again, that delayed gratification, if you just can hold out and build up enough funds to actually hire a narrator per finished hour, then it can increase. But here's the thing is, it's a real risk because you might have a title that just draws flies. And Lord knows, I've got a handful of those that I thought, oh, these are going to do great. And then there's the other ones I was like, these are going to do terrible. And I did those in 50-50 split. Those ones shock me, whereas the other ones I'm disappointed. I'm going, what happened? But those are what if scenarios. You never know unless you actually just take the risk. You gotta hedge all your bets on yourself sometimes. And if you know your publication's gonna do well and there's the market there for it, then the royalty share may not be for you. You may want to consider the finished price per hour. My final verdict when it comes, given the choice between DIY narrator or finished price per hour versus royalty share, I'm going to always lean in favor of the DIY or finished price per hour, so that way you take home more of a paycheck. That way you have everything for yourself. I hate to be so greedy, but this is an option that I prefer time and again lately. But if you're a newbie and you're strapped for cash, you have no way to get the budget. Like we're talking, you don't have a cent to your name. Then the 50-50 royalty split makes sense, and might I recommend that you test it out with one title first. Try to really go all in on the marketing and promotion of that book so that way it becomes successful and you get paid and your narrator gets paid. But as you get paid, I want you to take those earnings, regardless of your situation, you're going to funnel those over to the very next audiobook project. So that way you won't be forced to actually have to choose. You can actually just go for the finished price per hour. And speaking of promoting your audiobooks, I talked a little bit about the ACX promotional codes in one of my previous videos. I want you to check it out because all of you, regardless of royalty split or the finished price per hour, need to look at utilizing this awesome tool. I'll see you in the next video.